A major development in college sports. The NCAA and the 5 power conferences have agreed to a settlement that could pave the way for schools to pay student athletes. Joining me now to discuss is sportscaster Jeff Lesson. Thanks for being here today.
Always.
So this is landmark. This is huge. Can you explain kind of briefly how we even got here and what this really means for college sports?
Well, Shayna, you know, it's interesting. I spell arrogance and chaos the same way.
I know how you're going to spell it. I knew it.
NCAA.
Yeah.
I mean, they could have resolved this we're talking decades ago. They chose not to. They said, you know what? We don't have to pay our student athletes, despite the tens of millions they're making for the NCAA. Their schools, their coaches, by the way, with the mega million contracts with the schools. So we had the name, image, and likeness stuff. But now, because the NCAA was stubborn, and to put it kindly, because they wouldn't pay their student athletes the way they should have many moons ago, saying, yeah, the college scholarship is good enough for all you people, whether you use it or not, and we know many of them did not. Well, here's where we are today. Now, because they wanted to avoid bankruptcy, the NCAA, and they would have lost probably these 3 antitrust litigation suits, and there's still more out there, by the way, so it's not the end of it. They decided, well, it's better to pay the institutions and athletes from 2016 to today, about $3 billion, as opposed to perhaps 20 or more billion, and bankrupt the NCAA, and then we have zero power left. So it's chaos. How it's going to all work out in the end? Wow. I'm going to have a box of popcorn and watch it with the rest of you.
Right. Remains to be seen. So if we're talking winners and losers, players are going to be winners.
Absolutely.
Sounds like the NCAA, some losers.
Yes.
Who else might be coming out on top or on bottom in this situation?
Well, the interesting thing to me is we don't know exactly the final form. There's more questions than answers, Shayna. Incidentally, a thing called Title IX still exists. How they can divide up the pool of the $20 million a year, the Power 5 conferences, which includes Michigan and Michigan State, of course, and the Big Ten. How are they going to divide up the $20 million? Is it going to go to football and basketball programs, you know, that are the money-generating programs, or is it going to be spread equitably? And is it going to be gender-based, you know, according to Title IX, women and men are supposed to share equally in these kind of things? There's so many questions, and I don't even think the people that settle the case know the answer to all these questions yet. You know, and in the end, the NCAA, they could have avoided this. It drives me nuts that we're doing this. And the worst part about it, Shayna, what's going to be the difference between amateur and professional sports? Because now kids are going to be offered some money, maybe more money to stay in college than to go pros. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's just a new era in college sports. So what is this going to mean for the actual college students, the competition between your big schools with big pockets and your much smaller schools? It seems like there's going to be an even bigger gap there.
Absolutely. The Power 5 conferences are the big winners, and the smaller schools, you know, the Horizon Leagues, the leagues that, you know, U of D Mercy, Oakland U, Wayne State, et cetera, and, you know, maybe even other schools around the state, they're going to be the big losers because they're not going to get a big piece of the pie, if at all. So I feel bad for them. But again, this could have all been avoided. I mean, the NCAA just in 2021 wanted to avoid paying student athletes $5,000 or $6,000 a year. And here they are today.
Right.
Because of their own stubbornness, arrogance, and quite frankly, pompous.
So a lot remains to be seen about how this is all going to shake out. But what do you think is the bigger sea change for college athletics, NIL or this settlement?
Well, I'm not sure about that, but I do know one thing for sure. Amateur sports, as we once knew it, is dead. It's as dead as SOL and same old Lions. It's even more dead because we're never going to watch college sports the same. Whenever this all begins, probably in 2025, I mean, already we can't keep track of the athletes with the transfer portal. You know, there's one student athlete who I'm not going to name who's already been to 4 schools in 1 year, getting a bigger, you know, cash pull from each university, and he's a freshman. Yeah. And so I feel the fans are the losers here because the transfer portal's already killing the sport to a degree because you don't know who's in your team anymore, and you don't know if they'll be here next week. And now you got this. So survival of the fittest, and the fittest are the schools with the biggest pocketbooks. Right. That'll be the Power 5 conferences, which includes the Big Ten and Michigan State. What
do you personally think is the impact on the athletes themselves? Of course, the really talented ones, they're going to have that payday. They're going to have a lot of money. But on a deeper level than that, for the love of the game, their development throughout their college years.
The love of the game. Maybe the love of money, shall we say, right? And yeah, but what I worry about is an 18-year-old getting checked for $1 million, and technically they call him an adult, right? Well, his parents don't have any control over what he does with that money.
Right.
And
18-year-olds are 18.
Maybe 22-year-olds aren't always responsible for that when they turn professional. 18, there's maybe even a bigger concern. So that's one of many concerns that I have about what's going on.
Yeah. All right. Anything else we need to keep in mind? I know we're still waiting to see how this money is divvied up. When do you expect to know more?
Well, the wheels of justice move very, very slowly. And there's other cases out there. This settlement still has to be certified by a judge. The NCAA was hoping to get rescued by Congress, but they're in the middle of an election year. They got bigger fish to fry than worry about the NCAA and all their screw-ups over the last few decades. So
busy.
Remains to be seen.
All right, Jeff Lesson, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.